Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to the wasmCloud community meeting for Wednesday, August 23rd. Before we get started and take a look at the agenda, we actually have a new community member coming into the stream Zoom today. Dave, did you want to go ahead and give an introduction?
Sure. I'm Dave Testman. Have done probably, close to 30 years in IT now. Currently, I'm the chief architect of a startup located in Palo Alto that does ad fraud detection online. What we do is we take in a bunch of data from various ads as they occur, and then we do some big data analysis on it and determine how many where the fraud is coming from. So whether it's bot farms in the Asia or wherever, and then we provide a service for ad networks, such that customers come in and let's say somebody's bidding on an ad, they can go to our API and go, hey, does this IP address, how reliable is this IP address? What's the chance of this particular person being fraudulent from a bot farm or something like that? And then we give them a probability of the chance of them being fraudulent. So we're doing pretty good. We've been profitable for probably the last 3 or 4 years now, and doing well. We mainly run on AWS systems. So we've got a whole slew of EC2 instances out there and all sorts of things. What I'm looking at is sort of the future of where networking and the whole WebAssembly. I'm pretty much a newbie to all this stuff. Caught you guys on Beyond the Hype and went, wow, that product looks cool, and loaded it down on my system, started playing with it, and it fits exactly in the kind of thing I've been thinking of where we should go for, the last dozen years. I think is I really want to get to the point where I can just create a function, throw it into this massive cloud, and just have everything automatically link up together and work as an environment. So that's me. That's where I'm coming from, and I'm kind of interested in being just sort of the fly on the wall here for a while until I get my sea legs, and then we'll see what happens.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Dave, for
Sure.
doing an intro. Super happy to have you here. Sounds like what you want is what we are doing / trying to do. So it's really, really exciting.
Cool.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started with the agenda for today, which definitely went up a long time ago. We've got a really short demo. I want to show off WATM 0.5 manifest validation. I meant to show it off last week and just didn't quite get it together with the whole daemon Scalar demo. So I couldn't get both of them at the same time. So I want to show a little bit of that, the hard work that Aishwarya did off there. And then talk just a little bit, go over the WATM version 5 official release, and Wash will have support for that soon. And then just a general update on Rust host OTP parity. This is going to be really important, just looking forward. So why don't I go ahead and get started with the demo. Actually, we're going to flip-flop this just a little bit so I can show off the release here. So last night I actually cut WATM v5. We've had a couple of intermediate releases going into this. We've been doing some testing on WATM just with a couple of alphas and then a release candidate last week. But you'll see we've done a good bit of work to get to version 5 with WATM, adding some of the big features are adding validation support for manifests, actually implementing and updating statuses for manifest. So actually telling you if a manifest is ready or if it's compensating or needs more information to succeed. And then some additional fixes and features around multi-tenant mode, which is an advanced mode for WATM managing multiple wasmCloud networks or lattices. Additionally, we have another feature in, I might go in feature in upgrades. So being able to put a manifest and then deploy a new version of that manifest, Wadham will be able to compute the difference between the two. And so you can essentially upgrade your applications, between versions. Now, I know that if you're kind of new to the wasmCloud ecosystem, you may not have heard of Wadham before, and that's totally fine. Wadham is the wasmCloud Application Deployment Manager, and this is all around the ability, the big goal is to let people be able to deploy declarative applications in a wasmCloud lattice. The lattice or the wasmCloud network can span multiple different physical or virtual nodes. And so being able to define an application to say, hey, I want to run these resources, and especially where you want to run them, is really useful and very powerful, given that you're just distributing WebAssembly modules. So you don't have to worry about the target architecture or operating system that you're deploying onto. You just specify a simple set of labels and call it a day. So with the latest version of Wadham, with version 5, you'll see some things like status updates that you use to with any kind of like reconciliation logic and upgrades between versions. So I want to show you just a little bit of the different types of manifest validation that we do. This is a kind of continually evolving story in terms of what we're just catching at the manifest level. If we take a look at the applications that I have deployed or put right now, I just have Echo. And if you haven't seen a Wadham manifest before, I'll go ahead and pull this up just for a little bit of a sample. We're actually using the open application model format to do this. So it's an open standard. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but you define a list of components, which is primarily your WebAssembly modules, the business logic that you write, and then the capability implementations or capability providers. And then you can define runtime config here in something called a link definition. So this simple application will launch two components, an actor component and then an HTTP server, and then link them together and listen on port 8080. Super nice because you don't need to worry about how all of these things actually get started. Wadham will take care of it for you with its reconciliation loop. So what I actually have in this little folder here is one valid Wadham manifest and then a bunch of invalid manifests. And these invalid manifests don't actually look wrong. They're not manifests that are invalidly formatted in terms of the open application model. They're just things that don't logically work within the wasmCloud system. And so Wadham is taking on part of the validation burden there, trying to prevent people from creating applications that can't logically run in wasmCloud. And I can talk a little bit about why too. So looking at the core example here that I have that I'm going to be iterating on, I have the key value counter Wadham manifest, and this has one actor, the key value counter, and then two capability implementations for HTTP server and Redis. And then I'll be linking to those different capabilities, telling the KV counter to access Redis on localhost, and then telling the HTTP server to open up a port on localhost 8081. Now I can actually put this Wadham manifest, and if I take a look at the app list, I can see that it's undeployed, but here it exists. So you can distinctly put a new version of a manifest, and then you can deploy that version of the manifest. I don't actually have a host running in the background, so this example isn't going to launch all the way, but I just wanted to show the difference there. Now, let's take a look at some of the invalid manifests, like ways that you can modify this manifest to make it invalid in a wasmCloud context. The first one is called invalid duplicate actor. And this one you'll kind of see right away is a little different because we have a duplicate component here named KV counter. The image reference is the same. And this it's not explicitly wrong to throw, to run two different replicas of a single wasmCloud actor. But the stance that we're taking here specifically is that you shouldn't have two different components for the same actor. If you want to run multiple instances of a single component, you should be able to modify that here by changing your replica level. If you want to run this actor on a different set of hardware, a different set of hosts, then you can do that by specifying a spread. And so you can do that with a spread name, on the cloud, and then we can set a requirement to run on a host that has the label cloud equals Azure, something like that. So we're essentially taking the stance that this is how you should be running different versions of, or different replicas of an actor, and putting this manifest will result in a validation error saying, hey, you have a duplicate component called KB counter. So this is the first version here. Let's take a look at another invalid manifest. So this one is called the dup link manifest. And what this one attempts to do is define a component KB counter, link it to HTTP server saying, hey, open up a port on 8081, please. And then another link to the same HTTP server saying, hey, please open up a port on 8082. This one may seem a little bit more obvious. It's just conflicting configuration for the actor to use at runtime. And it's ambiguous from the WASM standpoint, which one should take precedence. So trying to put this manifest, again, results in a validation error when you actually hit the right file. So duplicate target for link def and manifest. It doesn't make sense to be able to define two different sets of configuration. The next one is really similar to the duplicate actor. Under the for the other components, we have an HTTP server provider and another HTTP server provider with the same parameters. You are not able to run the exact same instance of a capability provider on a single host. And there's a couple of reasons behind that one, but just to keep it short, it's effectively the same reason as running multiple actor components. If you wanted to run multiple, if you wanted to scale your HTTP server, the way to do that is by using the spread scalar replicas functionality. And last but not least, one that, well, of course that's not going to work. The last one that I want to take a look at is the duplicate link name. And this is actually disambiguating between running two providers with the same name. And instead, this is logically creating the exact same capability provider, just a slightly different case of the previous one. But this will also fail the validation saying, hey, you have the exact same provider with the exact same link name. And if you haven't used link names yet in the wasmCloud context, they're completely used for they can be used for isolation, or at least logical different representations of a capability provider. You may have a key value counter or a key value implementation of a provider that works just for a quick cache on the link name cache. And then you might have a key value implementation for secrets that you put on the link name vault or secret or something like that. So this is just a little bit of a tour of the kind of things that we're going to catch with this manifest validation. It's really all around preventing people from defining manifests that have duplicate components, duplicate logical things that we won't be able to start in wasmCloud. And I know that Aishwarya, who was the contributor that put this together, she works at Cosmonic and put this PR together. She also just put in another PR in WADM. Let me go ahead and pull that one up real quick just to give credit where credit is due, to add a JSON schema for validating manifests. This is going to make the validation of like an actual valid manifest and not just wasmCloud things really, really robust in terms of like having the correct format down to the JSON schema. And of course, and to her credit, the tests are not failing because of her. It is because of me and a flaky test that I wrote. So was super excited to get that one in. All right, I just wanted to do a little bit of a demo around that manifest validation, and it took a little bit longer, but I wanted to make sure to talk through the scenarios that actually made the manifest invalid. Does anybody have any questions about WATM 0.5? Oh, I can see here. Liam did have a question about when the daemon scalar pull request will land. This one is what I demoed in the community call last week, which is essentially instead of saying, hey, I want to run one replica on a host that has the label cloud equals Azure, you can use the daemon scalar to say, hey, I want to run one instance of the actor on every wasmCloud host that has a certain label. And this is a really cool concept for like elastically adding more instances or more copies of your application whenever you add a new host. So this is just kind of marked as work in progress, but this is something that I am definitely going to be demoing at WasmCon when or during my conference talk. So you can expect this to land probably either by the end of this week or early next week. It might be, because this is a significant new change, it might just be a quick turnaround to WATM 0.6, but it's okay. We got plenty of numbers. So take a look out for that one as well.
Thank you, Brooks. That's cool. I actually am really excited by this particular feature, to be able just to specify that I want it to run on all edges or all devices. So I'd like to get that into my demos, and I have a talk at WasmCon too. I'd love to be able to demonstrate that using wasmCloud. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mostly have maybe some edge cases haven't tested it all the way, but I've got the actor version of the spread scalar running. I just need to duplicate that just need to get the provider spread scalar for the daemon scalar working as well, because it's really useful to also run providers out at the same way that you can run actors. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. I'll pause for just a second. All right, then I think we can go ahead and move on to the next section of the call, which is just our general ending section on the agenda for taking a look at the wasmCloud roadmap, just doing a general update. We go and look at the high level wasmCloud roadmap, which if you're new or coming into the community, this is actually just located. If you go to the wasmCloud organization, you can look at the projects view up at the top. And then there's a few down here that we need to clean up, I think, but the wasmCloud roadmap that's the wasmCloud roadmap. There's a couple of different views here. If we take a look at our now, next, later, we are making solid progress on the now. And it's a little easier to take a look at what we're working on right now by taking a look at the work status pane. We can see that we are still working on defining all of our interfaces using WIT and the support for WASI Preview 2 components. This one is actually in WASH, not in the wasmCloud host, because the wasmCloud Rust host does have support for WASI Preview 2 components, which is super exciting. If we take a look at the completed tab, this has definitely moved since the last time we met or went over the roadmap. Now in the wasmCloud Rust host, we have support for invocation, claim verification, command and reactor components, and custom lattice prefixes in wasmCloud. Now, a lot of the things that are in here are under this OTP or under one of these milestones in the wasmCloud repository, which is where our Rust runtime lives. And we made some really good progress here as well. The Witify effort is all around changing our interfaces to use the WIT IDL. And we've got just a couple more issues to close out there. And then also the OTP feature parity milestone, which will essentially make this Rust-based host that's fully compliant with all of the new super bleeding edge standards, a drop-in replacement for the OTP host, so you can swap back and forth between them for now. And we're making really good progress here on OTP feature parity. We've closed more than we have open, so that's great. there's been a ton of effort here in this repo, especially over the last couple of weeks. So I know that I've been really involved here, and I want to give a shout out to Roman and Connor for some of their awesome work. If you go to the pull request section and look at what's just been closed over like the past week, we're exceeding the single page for just what we've done in the last week. So lots of awesome stuff here. I think that that's all that I had in terms of the roadmap update. We're just steadily marching towards some of our milestones here, trying to keep this nice and available for everybody to take a look at. The only other thing that I would love to call out is if you're new to the community or the ecosystem, taking a look at the issues list and then filtering for good first issue is an awesome way to get involved in these projects. Since all of our projects are most of our main projects are completely Rust based and right up in line with the WebAssembly standards. Would love to have anybody who's interested in this space contribute. And just by filtering by label, you can see in Wash, and last but not least, Wadham, we have just a couple of great issues for people to take a look at if they're just getting involved. So if you're a Rust programmer, we'd love to have you contribute. Okay, I think that was what I wanted to update on. Let's see. Anybody have questions in terms of what we're doing right now on the roadmap?
I have sort of a high level question about what big areas are left in the converting the Elixir runtime to Rust. Just kind of interested in maybe poking around in there, and might save time having you sort of describe things instead of me digging through it for hours.
Yeah, here, let me go ahead and pull up the issue milestone. Am I sharing the right thing? Yep. So we've got a couple of, in terms of what we have left, I should probably assign this one to me actually, so that it's easy to take. We've got an issue for handling WASM bus requests concurrently. Policy checking and management is something that we need to carry over from the OTP host. Being able to get link definitions and claims was actually blocked on a previous issue that is closed now, so we should be able to remove that. This is going to be this would be a great issue to pick up because it's implementing just the additional functionality from the wasmCloud control interface. So from OTP, you are able to ask a host for what it knows about link definitions and claims. And I think the Rust host still needs to do that. So this is great. I'm just going to not mark this as good first issue yet because the description leaves a little bit to be desired, but I'd be happy to poke at that. Chunking for large RPC payloads is definitely something that we'll need to carry over. It's just, it actually even really shouldn't require much implementation because it's just copy pasting code. Chunking is just a little, how can I say this nicely, a little delicate. It's very specific in the way that you have to take a payload, upload it to the Jetstream object store, and then reconstruct the payload. So I worry about that not being a great place to dive in. And then actor call aliases is another one that Roman, if you're on, Roman is not on. Roman may have started on this one, but that's another good one for calling different actors by a call alias instead of public key. Oh, you know what? This one that I filed this morning is also a great one to get started with. I feel like I'm saying a lot of them are great to get started with, but I would specifically call out get operations for links and claims and validating actor and provider claims as is really impactful, good first issues here.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'll definitely check those out.
Let me go ahead and label this one. So as you'll, I'm not gonna say it like that. So when you start an actor or a capability provider in wasmCloud, the embedded JWT that comes with every actor and provider is validated and ensured that, one, it is a valid signed resource that we can run in wasmCloud, but we also want to validate that the hash that's packaged on the JWT matches the hash of the resource itself. We can kind of prevent tampering in the middle. If somebody picked off an actor and then replaced the bytes with something else, you can tell when the claims hash is invalid. And all of this is already implemented on the OTP host side. So I'll come back after this call and just point to a couple of places in the implementation for inspiration.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thanks, CJ. Did that answer your
I just wanted a high level look without having to sort of scrounge around blindly. That helps a lot.
Yeah. I've been doing a good bit of thinking about some of these issues, especially as we start publicizing the roadmap and trying to really keep that up to date with issue milestones. So I might start trying to put together a list of, I think we actually did this maybe 2 years ago on the community call. I think we called it the community call out or something like that, where I tried to come to the community call with a set of good first issues that would be really good to pick up and implement. So I'll see if I can put some of those together and start putting those out in Slack. I know when I was new to doing open source stuff, I always wanted to contribute, but never really knew what was impactful or easy to pick up. So hopefully, for anyone who's looking to contribute, that would be a good resource.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you, CJ. Any other questions on the roadmap or what we've got looking forward for the next couple of weeks? All right. I will do our regularly scheduled call out saying hello. This is a conference that is coming up and is very exciting and we will be at. So I hope that I can see some of you there. It's actually coming up in 2 weeks, which is a little wild. It is so close, but this is wasmCon hosted by the Linux Foundation. It's going to be in Bellevue, Washington. A good couple of us have, let's see, that's not it. A good couple of us have talks on the schedule. Know that Bailey is going to be giving a keynote and talk and panel, question mark. I know that Liam is going to be giving a talk with Taylor, and then I will be giving a talk there as well about backend WebAssembly, which will be really fun. Grid view top left.
Schedule, yeah, and then grid. It's a bit easier just to see how much content there really is. Somebody on the call had hit me up about recommendations for conferences and things to do. Obviously, the big one I'd love to recommend is there's tutorials. So there's a Cosmonic crash course right here at the opening of the day. So strong recommend there. And as you scroll down into the first day of the conference here, obviously Bailey's keynote will be great. Both she's on day 2. I think I do a sponsored keynote here on day 1. And we just worked really, really hard to invite everybody that's doing interesting stuff in WebAssembly by a whole bunch of topics here. There's database talks, there's performance and troubleshooting, there's plugin use cases. We really tried to open the aperture here. Bailey and I are both co-chairs of this conference and invited in some of the folks I feel like that we really admire most in the conference. So I strongly encourage you to attend in person. So you get that hallway con as even the best track. And outside of that, the conference will be streamed live. So for those of you that are unable to attend, you should be able to log on and just watch via YouTube. So I'll be MC in one track, and Bailey, oh God, we can't also make you MC in another track. Okay, maybe we didn't ask you to do that yet. All right, you have too much going on. All right, well, you got to figure out some other MCs, but we'll have a bunch of other MCs as well in the other tracks. And that's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, if anybody has figured out the whole human cloning thing, ethics aside, please let us know. We need more Baileys. If we could get 2 or 3 Baileys, that would really help us out going into this conference. So please drop me a DM in Slack if you figure that out.
Yeah, I think another one that I wanted to shout out is that we'll be running a host. I will be hosting a panel, but there will be representation from Apple and V8, so Google and Firefox, all in one little panel. So I'm most excited about that. I had to go through a lot of legal and PR people to get everybody to be excited about that. Let us actually do it. So that's another one I wanted to give a shout out for, and we'll be talking basically WebAssembly standards. The other event that we didn't shout out yet is Bacon, or at least that's our code name for it, the Bytecode Alliance Conference. And so that is on that Friday, adjacent to wasmCon, and we're calling it Componentize the World. It is us working with some of this new tooling that we've been building for WebAssembly components. Yeah, thank you, Brooks. And it's free. You get to come hang out with folks. All of us will basically be there, but also Guy Bedford, who created JCO. It also works on the TC39 standards for a lot of things. Peter Hune, who created Cargo Component. So all the folks that are building a lot of the ecosystem tooling are going to be around, and we'll be collaboratively hacking and getting feedback on how to componentize basically the entire world, bootstrap a components native ecosystem. So I think that'll be an especially fun event. And Componentize the World will be virtual, but I wish you could join. Maybe I can pack you in my suitcase since we're in the same state.
That's a great call out, Bailey, and I actually didn't know that. So if you are going to be attending virtually, should you sign up on this Eventbrite and just say, hey, reserve a spot, or is that for the in-person ones?
Great question. I would say that you don't need to reserve a spot here if you're going to be virtual. We're going to have a couple different laptops set up in different places, and we've got MCs already on the hook, like Joel, Alex, and Guy Bedford. So I think it'll be a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that's going to be fun. All right. Well, I know that was effectively what we had planned for the community agenda today. So now is a great time for open floor. This is just general time. If anybody has questions about wasmCloud or something that they wanted to chat through for your use case, or just general things about the WebAssembly ecosystem, now's a great time to chat about that. Don't be shy. Everybody is welcome.
I've got a quickie here. Just for us noobs, where is the best place to start asking dumb questions? So what sort of chat, Slack, posts, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. So we have an open community Slack at slack.wasmcloud.com. Anybody is welcome to go and join. And I would say any questions there can go in the wasmCloud channel. Anything around the entire wasmCloud ecosystem. I think we also have a WebAssembly channel as well for more specific WebAssembly questions, but you're not going to get chastised by putting it in the wasmCloud channel, because I know that people really appreciate that too.
Cool, thank you.
Additionally, just for anybody who is involved in the cloud native space and doesn't feel like adding a new Slack to their repertoire, you're always welcome to join the wasmCloud channel in the CNCF Slack, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation Slack. We do have a channel there because wasmCloud is the CNCF. It's a sandbox application runtime. We'd like to actually start getting some things posted, like our community call and things over there. It's just a little harder to have a bunch of different discussions at the same time because it's just one channel. But if anybody's on the CNCF Slack, wow, please come say hi. All right, everyone. Well, this might end up being a short community meeting. I know that we're all pretty heads down with working on conference talks and implementation on the wasmCloud side. It's a really exciting point in the ecosystem where we're starting to really embrace these WebAssembly standards and get them implemented and see them working, which is really fun. So I think we can go ahead and end this call now. Thank you all for coming. Especially Dave, thank you for coming as a first-time member. And then, just getting to look at the people who are on the call now. Dwayne, it's been a long time, so really, really great to see you and Vance and everybody. I think it's worth mentioning for anybody who's watching this on live stream as well, that we do have this meeting, like being able to come in here and ask questions and interface with all of us. It's a completely open meeting. If you go on our website and check out the community calendar, there's an invite for this Zoom. So you're always welcome to come in and join here, as well as Slack and all of the things. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and stop streaming and we can